Hello and welcome to this Careers in event. My name is Chris Simons and I'll be hosting this event today. We will be speaking to you about a variety of careers that are available in the public service, speaking to some of our experts from different areas of the public service, and also speaking to our students about their experiences currently and former students in terms of what they have progressed onto. I'd like to start by introducing the panel to you. So I say my name is Chris Simons. I'm the head of school at City and Islington College and oversee our uniform public service provision. I'd like to pass over to Noah now.
Hello, I'm Noah Lewis and I'm the curriculum manager for the Uniform Protective Services.
And now to Graham.
Hello, my name is Graham Murray and I'm a lecturer in policing and criminology at City and Islington College, and my area is the Access to Policing course, which aligns itself to the new police degree apprenticeship programme.
And James.
Hi everyone, I'm James Bentham. I'm currently the Health and Safety Manager for the college. I have a background in the armed forces as well.
Thank you. And now to our students, Adam.
Hello, nice to meet everyone. I'm a student at City and Islington College, currently studying Protective Services, here to talk about the student experience.
Thank you. And now over to one of our former students, Sesvina. She may be not with us yet. We'll hold fire on that one for now, and she can introduce herself a little bit later on. Okay, thank you. I'd like to hand over to Noah first, who's going to present an overview of the public service, what it means and what opportunities there are for people that want to pursue a career in this area. Over to you, Noah.
Thank you very much. So the Uniform Protective Services, also known as the Public Services, is a 2-year national extended diploma run by Pearson BTEC, and it allows students to learn a whole range of activities, including teamwork, leadership, also some fitness, to get them ready for those entrance tests that they have to do to enter certain public services. Some practical skills and some theory to understand why the public services do what they do. The police service, the fire service, the ambulance, and all of the armed forces, of which are quite a lot, as well as nursing and paramedic science. And some of our students also go into law. So I've just had a student accepted today. So she's had her first acceptance for university, coming to the end of her second year, and she's been accepted to do law. So that's the University of Law that she's going to. So there's a whole range of things that you can go on to, either directly into a public service where that's allowed by that public service, like such as the fire service, or to university. So the course is 2 years long, and in that time, students really get to know what the public services are there for, what their roles are, and they will be assessed in so many different ways. So some of those will be presentations in classes. They'll be doing some written work as well, and they'll be assessed physically by watching them, watching how they perform in certain tasks. And we've got the most fantastic facilities here, unlike I think anywhere else. We have a crime scene suite where students get involved in looking at crime scene investigation. We also have a really good gym facility and sports facilities here as well. So students get to play some sports and also do some drill and learn self-defense too. So there's a whole range of activities on the course. It's not just writing and learning in classrooms, it's very active and physical as well. But it leads you to a job that's guaranteed for life. It's guaranteed that you will get a job that is, that once you pass the course, that allows you to be able to work for your entire career within the public services and move around within the public services. I've worked in 2 public services. I was a nurse for 20 years, and then I was a police officer for 12 years. And into moving within those public services is actually something a lot of people do. So it's a 2-year course. It gives you access to the Uniform Protective Services, as well as criminology, for criminal psychology, forensics, and forensic psychology, either at university or sometimes directly into the Uniform Protection Services.
Thanks, Noah. That was a great overview of the course and what it could lead on to. I forgot to mention to the audience at the beginning there is a Q&A button somewhere on your screen. If you have any questions at any point during the talk today for any of our panelists, please drop it in the Q&A function, and we will be coming to those probably towards the end. We may answer one or two of them as we go along. So moving on now, we are going to talk a little bit about careers in the armed services. And for that, I'm going to pass over to James.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Hopefully I can talk to you from a good point of view. I actually undertook the public services course myself many years ago. But it gave me a very good start and a very good insight into the public services, into the armed forces. I joined the armed forces at 17 after the public services course. I subsequently spent 13 years in the Royal Engineers, and it gave me a very good career start being on the public services course. It helped me push through the ranks very quickly. It gives you a step ahead of everybody else that joins. So on the day that you join and the day you go into to start your basic training, a lot of the stuff you kind of already know and you've already been taught along those lines. So it does give you a head start. The army itself then, I served in many places: Northern Ireland, Iraq, Afghanistan. I've been into Iran before. But yeah, it gave me a really good insight into what life would be like, the kind of things that you would be undertaking within basic training and within the services lifestyle. So yeah, 13 years was a good career progression, and it is a great career. I came out of that and spent some time around the world doing different security services. I ended up joining the fire brigade, so I can talk to you from both aspects of the military and from the fire service. I spent 5 years in the fire service, and again, still to this day, a lot of the things I learned on the public services course were still relevant when I joined the fire service. It sets you up with that mindset of having to undertake fitness on a daily basis. With the military side, I mean, I'm not so sure, but back when I did the public services course, we had to carry out navigation exercises and speaking to people within the military and all that kind of stuff. All gives you that step forward ahead of everybody else. It's definitely served me well throughout my years. It was a great starting block for me as a 16-year-old lad to be brought in from coming straight from school into that kind of services background where you get taught by people that have been there, they've done it, they've been in the services themselves, and they start to give you that ethos and start to give you that way of thinking along those lines. And it served me well in the army, it served me well in the fire brigade, it certainly served me well in the security services. Funnily enough, I've done a complete circle, and now I work for the health and safety for the college. So I've ended up back at college along those kind of lines. But it was definitely a very good course for me to choose, and it was a very good course to do. It's not just a course of sat down, looking at screens and writing down papers that some of you might believe college is all about. It was very interactive and taught me a lot. So yeah, I think that's about I can tell you there.
Thanks, James.
No problem.
A couple of questions straight away from me, really. Is just, you said you were in the Royal Engineers. I'd just be interested to hear,
Yep.
What does that look like? What were your roles and responsibilities? What was a day in the life of a Royal Engineer?
I'll have to tame it down a bit.
If there is a standard day, yeah.
There's no that's one of the things. There is no standard day. Every day is completely different. But in the Royal Engineers, so I got taught, and I did 3 years as a instructor teaching recruits as well. So teaching things like bridge building, minefield clearance, demolitions, explosives, cratering charges, all sorts now, anything from workmanship. So there's a big ethos within the Royal Engineers of we can make the impossible possible, and miracles take a little bit longer. but you know, we're well known for being able to do absolutely anything. We get dropped into the middle of the desert in Iraq and have to, you know, build a camp from nothing, build a camp from nothing. So you go through to phase 3 training in the Royal Engineers, which is your trade training. So trade wise, I'm a bricklayer, plasterer, concreter by trade. So there's that side of it as well. You can do anything from health and safety through to electricians. We have plumbers, pipe fitters, all that kind of stuff. So every troop within the Royal Engineers will hold every single trade, 3 or 4 people from every single trade. And then you back that up with your explosives training and demolitions training. And like I say, we can get dropped in anywhere to do absolutely anything, from building a bridge to declassifying a road by blowing it with craters. So yeah, there's a massive wide range of things that you can do.
Okay, thank you. You also mentioned that, you know, because of your public safety background, education, you're able to push through the ranks a little bit quicker. It'd be interesting maybe to explain what a career would look like if you started in one rank and how you progress up, at like timescales and things.
Yeah, absolutely. So timescales normally within the military, you're looking at serving as a private or a sapper, as we're called. Anywhere some sort of 3 to 4 years, maybe a bit longer, maybe a bit less, depending on your type of character and depending on the demand as well. But progressing through to a lance corporal, to a corporal, to a sergeant. I got out as a sergeant. But just to put that public services into perspective, I was one of the youngest corporals in the British Army at the time. I got promoted to corporal around the age of 20, 21. Which, and I do believe the public services course helped me there a lot. It pushed me forward. Joining the army as a 17-year-old lad, you know, you don't really know what's going on. And some of the other people I joined with, I could see the difference between them and myself. Just for having that little bit of training, that little bit of knowledge from the instructors on my course, just helped me no end. And then I got promoted to corporal, and then I got sent to training regiment to teach there, and then I eventually ended up as a sergeant in the Royal Engineers in 9 Para, which means we just jump out of planes and blow stuff up, basically. But yeah, so I was promoted that around the age of 25, I think. So again, very young to be a sergeant in the British Army. And I believe the course, I do honestly believe the course pushed me forward and helped me with that massively.
Thank you. You also said you got to travel the world.
Yeah, I've been
from a personal perspective, how was that?
Yeah, fantastic. I've been to a lot of places. Like I say, Iraq, Afghanistan, not nice places, but Northern Ireland, South Georgia, Kuwait. Spent 3 months in Kuwait. Yeah, so just bouncing around all over the place. So like I say, one day to the next can be completely different. You can be in one place 1 month, and then 2 months later in a completely different place.
Great, it's really interesting. Thank you, James. I think we'll move on to our next kind of section now. We're going to come to Noah Lewis, who's going to talk about careers within the health service.
Thank you. Yeah. So from this course, the Uniform Protective Services, after successful completion, can move on to becoming a paramedic or to one of the nursing or allied professions within. I've got one student at the moment who's looking at radiography. And so if they get accepted, that's going to be my first student going on to radiography, but they're going to have the grades to be able to do that. So there are so many other areas, occupational therapy, a lot of the therapy areas, venipuncture, so phlebotomists that take blood, technicians that carry out ECGs and use specialist machinery. They need some internal training, which can be done through the NHS. You don't need to go to university for those. Or you can go on and become a nurse and then move around. I've had students go off and do midwifery as well as general nursing. To be able to join nursing, you do need a level 3 extended diploma and to have achieved 112 UCAS points. So that would be DMM as a distinction merit by the end of the course. If you're not sure about UCAS points and what that means, you can go onto the UCAS website, UCAS, and you're going to find a whole load of information about how UCAS works. And whilst you're on this course, you're collecting UCAS points. and those UCAS points are added up at the end, and then you can apply to university. For paramedic, it's 128 UCAS points, so DDM, and you need a science, a GCSE 5, grade 5 in a science, and you also need English and maths. For both of those courses, you need English and maths at level 4, so grade 4. So it's really important then that if you're doing your GCSEs now, that if you want to go into nursing paramedics, then you can do so as long as you've got that GCSE English and maths. Once you're on our course, if you don't have the maths, don't worry, because you can continue doing your GCSE maths here, and we can make sure then that you're going to get your 4 by getting you to attend the lessons here and retake the exam from here. So if you've got any questions about nursing, about paramedics, paramedic science, or any of the other allied fields within nursing or the healthcare sector, just leave me a message on here and I'll answer it straight away for you.
Thanks, Noah. It's really useful information on how we can progress into those fields from the course. I'm just interested from your experience in the health sector. I can't remember how many years it was as a nurse. It was quite a few, wasn't it? You know, what did that role entail? What is the structure there? How can people progress within that role?
Sure. So I was a nurse for 20 years. I started off as a psychiatric nurse, so that's dealing with mental health. I then did a conversion course, which took 18 months to convert to a I'm so sorry. I've got a little bit of light left. A state registered nurse. Now that would be a registered general nurse. For that, you need a degree to do that now. I worked all around the hospital, I think practically everywhere, from outpatients through to accident and emergency. I worked in operating theatres. I was an agency nurse for many years, so I went to different hospital every day or different hospital every week, working either in cardiothoracic, so intensive care. I worked in the elderly wards, the orthopedic wards, all the way around the hospital. I think I worked in practically every department. I then decided to take some further courses, which enabled me to go up the scale. So you start off as a staff nurse and then move on to a senior staff nurse. Then you have an opportunity with some training to become a sister, or for a male nurse, a charge nurse, and then senior charge nurse, and then modern matron. I became a senior charge nurse, and my area of specialism was cardiothoracic, that's the heart and the lungs, and accident and emergency, trauma. There is so exciting because you decide where you want to go. You can decide that you really don't like accident and emergency. You don't like lots of blood and gore and people coming in with bits missing and bits added on and holes in their chest. If you don't like that, then that's not for you. That's fine. You can go and work in another area or become a specialist in an area such as diabetes or anticoagulant. So that's people that take tablets to help thin their blood, and they need a nurse that's specially trained to see them on a weekly basis in a clinic. So outpatients has a lot of nurses in it, and many of them have had a whole range of experiences, but now they're in a job where they carry out routine tests, assist the doctor to be able to prescribe and diagnose. But it really is up to you. You can move around, and also occupational nursing. That's once you become a qualified nurse, you can then do a special course that allows you to become a nurse in a school or in a factory. And you are alone. You're there on your own or in a custody suite. Once you've worked at an accident emergency for some years, you could then join the police service and become a custody nurse, where you are really the main medical person who's dealing with any incidents that occur in the custody suite or in a factory. If somebody gets harmed in the factory, you would be supplying that first aid and advanced nursing care as well.
Thanks, Noah. Just maybe a little bit of information for our viewers on paramedic services, paramedic science as well, the sort of roles that could be fulfilled in that sector.
So For paramedics, there's a range of grades. The first one is the emergency medical technician. There are 3 emergency medical technician grades, 1, 2, and 3. And so if you start off as an emergency medical technician, you can then work on to do the degree in paramedic science. Once you become a paramedic, there's a whole range of really interesting jobs that you can do. You could become a motorcycle paramedic. So that means that you're riding on your solo, you're riding on a motorbike, going to major incidents, cardiac arrests, serious incidents, and you're first on scene normally. Or in a paramedic car, you may have seen paramedic cars. And the paramedic car is a solo paramedic who very experienced, worked on the ambulance for many years, and now they can attend as a more senior paramedic than the ones that are on the ambulance. There are also management roles within paramedics, and they will often attend major incidents, critical incidents, and also managing staff and training. So all of the areas I've talked about, nursing and paramedics, there's also training roles within that as well. So once you've got some experience and you can go off and do a postgraduate certificate in education, you can then teach nurses, teach paramedics, teach doctors. When doctors are new in their first year of going on the wards, they're going to get taught by the nurses. When paramedics are in their training, they're being also taught by nurses as well as doctors, because nurses often have more experience in the procedures that a paramedic would carry out in those first years. So there are a whole range of roles that you can do, and paramedics, in exactly the same way as nursing, gives you a whole broad range of activities that you can do, and to make the job more varied. So you choose the thing that really suits your temperament and your personality most.
Thanks, Noah. That's really informative. Just a reminder for the audience, for anyone that joined us late, there is a Q&A section on your screen somewhere. If you click on that and submit any questions to the panel, we will look to get them answered at some point during this presentation today. Next, we're going to move on to careers in policing, and I'm going to hand over to my colleagues Graham and our guest Lisa, who will be talking about the opportunities that exist within the police service.
Yep, if I start, good evening, everybody. Obviously, welcome to this webinar tonight. My name's Graham Murray. I am a former police officer. I'll let no secrets around that. And I've spent 30 years in the police service, policing London. Now, in my career is split 50-50, but my time was policing London. My family come from London, so it's right that when I took up policing, I carried that out in London. And why did I become a police officer in London? Well, I started my career, first of all, in the military. I was in the RAF, and after 6.5 years, I left and decided that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life behind a desk or working 9 to 5 and getting up at 6:30 in the morning to catch a train. I wanted something different. I wanted a job that was demanding. I wanted a job that was exciting, and policing provided that for me. And after 30 years service, I can say that actually I've fulfilled my needs. Now, policing is not just unique to policing. There's many specialities that you can take up once you're inside the career, and you don't have to come in as a uniformed warranted police officer. You can come in as a member of support staff, and police forces and policing agencies throughout the country have a dedicated team of support staff behind them that support them, and there's various roles within that, from scientific roles, from crime scene investigators down to people that are at the front line working in those call centres that are dealing with those immediate calls for help. Where we as a college differ from others in London and throughout the country is that we run a bespoke and rather unique course that's geared to people who are interested in a career in the Metropolitan Police via the entry route, the police degree apprenticeship. Policing has changed the way that it now trains its people and recruits people. And there's 2 main pathways into the police service. That is direct entry, in that you already have a degree, and then you come in and you do a 2-year program, which is basically learning based and experience and exposure to policing. And secondly is the degree apprenticeship, which is a 3-year long program. The degree apprenticeship, the advantages are that if you are interested in higher education or the police degree apprenticeship, actually you are a student and you are getting paid for where go. Where we are unique and different is our course is specifically tailored for adults who have left school and wish to come back into education to gain the necessary qualifications and necessary UCAS points to enter onto the police degree apprenticeship. Our course, along with our awarding body, OCN, have worked in partnership with the Met Police to design a new Met Police inspired higher diploma. And this higher diploma takes you through certain skill areas and academic subjects aligned to policing, and at the end, it'll vocationally align you to go through the preparation and the applying the application process. The Met Police are very, very keen to remove barriers for all and are merging this together with some of their own criteria to develop a very, very bespoke course.
Thanks, Graham. That's really great information about our kind of access to higher education course that we have here. Lisa, I was wondering if you've got anything to add about the kind of maybe your journey in the police service, but also any kind of opportunities that exist for young people or adults that want to start a career within policing.
Hi there, absolutely. So my name's Lisa, and I'm actually one of the police staff that Graham spoke about. I'm not an officer myself. I work alongside officers who work in what's called our learning and development team. So within the Met, we have a quite considerable learning and development team of our own, because we really value education and we value the opportunities for any opportunity for people to be able to carry on their learning. So in terms of development within the Met, if you join us on a PCDA programme, you're able to then become a constable after 3 years of training with us. During that time, because it's a degree apprenticeship, so it's very much the kind of, you're working alongside your studying. You are actually a fully prepared and certified police officer to be working out on the streets once you've passed your IPS, which is your independent patrol status. While you do this, you're undertaking role plays to prepare you for being out on the streets and working with the public. Once you're then a fully IPS, fully certified officer, you're out working with other members of your borough command unit to make sure that you're developing your skills and building the necessary qualifications and the necessary experience to become a really excellent officer, which is what we're looking for within the Met at all times. So as Graham mentioned, we do have some routes to get you into the Met, as well as the PCDA. We have a degree holder entry program is what we call it, and that's a 2-year diploma option for people who already have a degree when they join the Met, which is a lovely additional offer that we have. One other thing that was mentioned there was around police staff who join and then become officers. This does happen fairly often. We have some excellent opportunities for people who do join as staff, and very varied role as staff as well. And many of them do take the opportunity to join and become officers themselves, which is always excellent to see. Once you're actually within the service itself, you can progress through the ranks by gaining additional qualifications, additional experiences, and rising up through the structure to be able to gain a higher rank and higher office. I do want to make clear as well, while you are training with us as a PCDA student, your starting salary is between £31,000 and £36,000 a year. So we pay you well. So, and that's your starting salary, which is always quite a nice place to begin from. So there are many, many different opportunities within the Met in terms of different experiences that you can have. We have vast numbers of different teams, vast numbers of different skills and qualifications that are needed. You get to experience quite a lot as a trainee police officer. You get to go through the different teams and find out what suits you best to be able to work most effectively for the service. So there we go. If you do have any questions, if there's anything you'd like to know, please do let me know. And what I'll do is I'll pass on a link as well, which gives you some information about some different joining options that we have. And also our outreach team, who you can contact should you wish to get any more information as well.
Thank you, Lisa. Really interesting. A great starting salary or training salary, I should say, and hopefully onward and upward from there. So, great potential career within the police service. We're going to come back to James now and maybe carry on with a few stories from his time in the fire service and explain what the career possibilities are in that sector. Over to you again, James.
Hi, yeah, yeah, no problem. So can everyone hear me? This is just frozen, so again.
Yeah, I think you're back with us, James. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, I think we're having some technical difficulties with James. James, can you hear us?
Yeah. So
We've got quite bad line, so I think what I might do is just stop that for a second, and we'll move on to our
within the
students.
military is kind of standard across the board, depending on
I think we might have lost James there for the moment, so apologize for that. We'll try and come back to that if we can. Adam, I'd be interested to come to you as a current student at the college to talk about your kind of experiences. What does a day in the life of a student look like at City and Islington College?
Well, it's very good, I will say that. I'm Adam. I'm in my second year of my public services course. I am currently studying within my course this year criminal investigation, global affairs, government, and planning and responding to emergency incidents, which have all been exhilarating, might I add. The typical day of a student like me. Well, because of the public service thing, it would start off with some fitness, then I'd have breakfast, brush my teeth, get changed, head to college. I head to college and I would have my lessons depending on the day. And we'd be taught these practical skills, and in some instances, they might actually be applied. Like, for example, I've got a tabletop anti-terrorism, I think, scenario coming up soon, and I conveniently don't know the date for that, so we'll see how that goes. And we've been using the skills that we've learned and we're applying it into different practical situations. And I've been saying that's very good because not only do you get the academic block, but you also get the practical block as well. You get the experience as well, which I think has been very useful. Generally, on my time on the course, I have no regrets whatsoever. I've fully enjoyed it. It's definitely helped to change my mindset as well, which has helped. And I genuinely think anyone that joins will have a good time, but also they will learn a lot. And I don't mean learn a lot as in just reading from a textbook, but learn a lot as in, for example, communication and teamwork skills. We had a whole unit related to that. And I genuinely think it would help people if they join. And if you are looking at a career in the protective services, this is for you.
Thanks, Adam. Just out of interest, what public service are you interested in progressing into?
I'm currently looking at possibly joining the Royal Air Force at the moment.
And do you feel that the course is preparing you well for that route?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for sharing your experiences. I think we may have James back on the line now, so we're going to try again and go back and talk about some careers within the fire service.
Yeah, sorry about that. The internet dropped out, so I've quickly moved locations. Always have a backup. So yeah, career progressions in the fire service. Yeah, so the fire service I joined, obviously you start off joining as a firefighter. So it was a kind of a 10-week joining program, very fitness based. A lot of information to take in very, very quickly. Career progressions through there. Once you join your watch, you can then progress later on to a crew manager, which is sort of second in command of maybe a two fire pump station. And then from there is watch manager. So though all three of those roles are operational based. So you're operationally on the fire engines, reacting to incidents and carrying out community safety. And then once you start moving up from watch manager through to station manager, it becomes more kind of office based. As a station manager, you might get the opportunity to run a full fire station. That's later on career progression down the line. But then from there, as you hit station manager, it's not all office based. You can go into fire investigation. So you still get called out to incidents, house fires, building fires, things along those lines, to look at the aftermath of what's happened and try and work out what's happened. You also have other things like, not as exciting, I suppose, but waste management, hazmat control. So we would call in a hazmat control officer if we had an incident involving, let's say, like a recycling centre or something like that, because obviously you have to start getting the environmental involved. If you have to offload a large amount of water, or if there's a massive burn off of a certain material releasing a lot of smoke into the atmosphere, you have to weigh up whether it's worth putting a large amount of water onto that site, which will then go into the drainage system, or whether it's worth letting it burn off and allowing that smoke to go into the atmosphere. So that decision gets made at a higher rank than what I was. But yeah, the initial firefighter role is very, very. I'd like to say it's probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. Very exciting job. Obviously, not every job is full of excitement. There are other things you have to do. So community safety, going around and checking the community, making sure certain buildings are up to regulations, carrying out fire risk assessments of local businesses to make sure they're following regulations, those kind of things as well, which can be certain exciting. You find certain things that you wouldn't see in everyday life, which you have to then make sure that gets rectified. And trying to bring those fire calls down, trying to bring those fire incidents down, those numbers. But yeah, very, very interesting job. Lots of career progression in there. Yeah, so yeah, very interesting job.
Thanks, James. Sounds like it could be a very physically demanding job as well. And like with your other role in the armed services, is there a kind of an expectation requirement to keep physically in good shape to be able to fulfill these roles?
Yeah, so it is a very, very, very physical role. So if you're going into a house fire, for instance, you've probably got 20 to 25 minutes worth of air. Depending on how hard you're working, that can come down to around 15 minutes of air, and you're pulling around fire hoses of 70 millimeters in diameter, which fully charged can weigh a lot. You're pulling those up and down stairs. So it's a very physical job. You are allowed on shift. You get 1 hour gym time per shift to stay physically fit. And there is a fitness test, I believe, I can't remember now off the top of my head. I think it's every 6 months. There is a physical, so the bleep test is a good standard. I think the standard is around 8.2 on the bleep test. And then there's other tests, as in carrying 2 hoses over a certain distance. A roll of hose will weigh around 20 kilograms, 20 kg. Ladder lifts, climbing the 13.5 meter ladder and hooking on and basically looking down at the ground behind you to read whatever they've wrote on the floor. So that's more of a confidence test. And there's also a confined spaces test as well to make sure that you're okay within confined spaces. So there's lots of tests and lots of physically demanding stuff. Yeah.
Excellent. Sounds like hard but rewarding work. Okay, so I think the final person we'd like to bring onto this panel today is Bettina, who is a former student of ours. I think it'd be really interesting to hear what she's gone on to now and what her how the course helped her progress on that route.
Hello, I'm an ex-student at City and Islington College, and I have gone on to do criminology and criminal justice in university.
That's great. And how did the course help you prepare for that?
It really laid down the foundation for everything we did in the first year. Like, I felt really prepared because most of the content that we covered in that first year was pretty much everything I learned in City and Islington. So I felt prepared, and I felt that I could actually understand, and I felt like I was ahead of all my other like peers, where I was looking at people were confused and I was there like understanding it. I was really prepared. I wasn't expecting it to be so similar to college.
And what careers are you hoping to go into after completing your degree?
I'm not completely sure because there is a very wide range of options for careers. There's a little too much choice with my specific degree because there are other criminological degrees that you can go into, but there is a very broad variety and it's a little overwhelming. I'm honestly a little bit confused as well, but it's also nice to know that there are so many options and it's not just one option that you have and you have to stick to it. You can really transfer from one to the other.
Oh, that's really interesting. A very different career path or subject to study to what we've spoken to our other panelists about. So it's really interesting to hear how public service can lead on to a wide range of careers. Just from, open maybe to the whole panel now, it seems like there's lots of potential for these different careers or different public services to cross paths in day-to-day life, but also to move from one public service to the other. I'd just be interested to hear how do these public services work together on certain instances? Maybe Graham, you could answer something.
Yeah, when there's joint work in maybe a major incident, there's protocols that kick in, but all the emergency services have a command structure that they will slide into, and then the various personnel underneath each of those roles sort of naturally fit in. So different agencies do not or no longer work in isolation. People are naturally aligned to a process called JESSOP that allows joint interoperability between all of the different public services.
And Noah, you've moved between two of the public services. Is this common within this sector that you can establish yourself careers in different public services and move between them?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of nurses become police officers. A lot of police officers go into paramedics. There's a real cross sort of pollination between them, particularly the armed forces and the police service, because there's over 100 jobs in almost every armed service. So there's so many things that you could do. So if you wanted to become a police officer, you could become a police officer in the armed forces, or like James there, an engineer. Equally, you could become an engineer in the police service. Metropolitan Police Service have engineers, they have forensic scientists, criminologists, they have people that understand surveying of buildings. So there is so many things that you can do and then change over. A lot of my nursing qualifications and knowledge really helped when I became a police officer, particularly if I was first on scene at a road traffic collision. There were things that I knew and could understand and diagnose very quickly that the other police officers may not have been able to. And that would allow me to perform some actions that, and also give information to the paramedics that arrive that they may not have got. So there is a lot of crossing over from all of the public services. Once you've learned how to be in a public service, it's very easy to cross over to another one.
Thanks, Noah. And I think finally, just a point of discussion, there seems to be a lot of professional development and education opportunities available whilst you work within the uniform public service. And then we've got anything to maybe add to the discussion around how you could train and educate yourself whilst you're in one of these public services and potentially establish a new career 5-10 years down the line?
Yeah, so for instance, if you joined the public service as a police officer, you could become a medic. It's not quite a medic, but it's working at, say, riots and public disorders. And you have some extended first aid training that gives you the ability to carry out some advanced emergency life support. From there, you can actually go and do a paramedics course if you want to. The police service do employ nurses, doctors and paramedics as well, in the same way that people from the army who have specialist skills move over to either hospitals, nursing, or move over to the police service because of their specialist skills. For instance, James had a lot of understanding of explosives and how they detonate, but also how to possibly make them safe, and also firearms. So had he joined the police service instead of the fire service, it would be quite natural for him to become a firearms officer, specialist firearms officer, or counter-terrorism specialist firearms officer in the police service.
Thanks, Noah. And James, earlier you mentioned that whilst in the armed services, there's lots of people picking up trade qualifications as well, and you're using them within the Royal Engineers. Do a lot of your former colleagues now work within the trade sector and applying those skills within a public domain?
Yeah, so within the Royal Engineers, like I said earlier, there's every single trade you could possibly think of. A lot of colleagues I worked with, a lot of close friends I'm still in touch with, all run their own businesses in certain, for instance, off the top of my head, plumbing, pipe fitting, gas engineers, damp proofing specialists. There's a lot of guys went into the bricklaying, but then continued into having their own sort of construction building business. So yeah, there's a lot of that does go on. And like I say, you can also get health and safety qualifications in there now, and a lot of my fire safety qualifications and health and safety qualifications I gained whilst in the fire service as well. So there's also that advantage there to be able to do those courses and get those paid for.
Okay, thanks, James. I think we're just coming to the end of this event today. So I'd like to thank all the panelists for their time and insight into the sector. I think it shows that studying uniform public service can not just lead into a wide range of careers, but once you're in that career, you can divert off into lots of different pathways and lots of opportunities for people from studying this course. Thank you all for your time. I hope it was informative to those of you that are watching. If you do have any questions, please contact the college. You can go via our website and apply for the course in Uniform Public Services, or the Higher Education Diploma in Policing, and you'll be invited in for an interview where we can share more information with you and answer any specific questions that you have. Well, thank you very much for your time. I wish you a good night.